There are moments when you realize you're present, but not involved.
You're in the room. The sound is loud. The energy is high. People are leaning forward, reacting, holding their breath. Something clearly matters. And yet, nothing happens inside you. You're not distracted. You're not confused. You understand what's unfolding. You know the rules. You can track the score. But emotionally, it never reaches you. It's like watching meaning pass through glass. You see it clearly, but it doesn't touch you. That moment often feels unsettling. Not because you're bored, but because you notice the gap.
Everyone else seems animated, pulled in, alive in the moment.
And you're aware quietly that whatever current they're riding isn't carrying you. Most people don't sit with that realization. They brush it off. They force interest. Or they assume something must be missing. But what if nothing is missing at all? What if this is simply the moment you recognize that your nervous system doesn't respond to stimulation the way the room expects it to? That awareness isn't detachment. It's information.
In many cultures, shared excitement is treated like social glue. When everyone cares about the same thing, connection feels automatic. So when you don't care or don't show it, the silence gets noticed.
Someone asks if you watched the game. Your answer doesn't light up. There's a pause. A half smile. Sometimes a joke. Sometimes a look that lingers a little too long. And in that space, assumptions quietly form. You're distant. You're aloof. You're trying to stand apart. What rarely gets considered is that lack of enthusiasm is not rejection. It isn't judgment. And it isn't emptiness. It's mismatch. When someone doesn't mirror our excitement, it can feel threatening, as if their neutrality implies something about us. So we label it. We explain it away. We turn preference into pathology. And over time, many people internalize that story. They start wondering what's wrong with them. But the truth is simpler and far kinder. They aren't failing to connect. They're just not connecting here. That distinction matters. To understand why sports grips so many people so deeply, you have to look far beyond stadiums and screens. For most of human history, survival depended on belonging. Your group was your protection. Your identity determined whether you were fed, defended, included. The brain evolved to treat group affiliation as life or death important. Modern sports activate that ancient wiring perfectly. They create a clear us in them. They offer loyalty, rivalry, victory, loss, all without real danger. And the body responds accordingly. When a team wins, reward chemicals surge. When it loses, stress hormones rise. Studies have shown that fans experience real physiological shifts after games, changes in testosterone, dopamine, cortisol, the same patterns our ancestors experienced after successful hunts or territorial outcomes. The brain doesn't care that the battle is symbolic. It reacts as if it's real. Sports work because they provide a socially accepted way to activate tribal emotion. Belonging without risk. Intensity without consequence. For many people, that feels regulating, energizing, anchoring. And there is nothing accidental about that. Because sports activate something primal in many people, it's easy to assume that those who don't respond are missing a basic human instinct. But psychologically, that's not what's happening. The tribal mechanism isn't broken. It's selective. Everyone has a threshold for what activates belonging. For some, geography is enough. The city you grew up in. The team your family supported. The colors you learned to cheer for before you could choose. For others, that threshold is higher. Connection needs to feel mutual. Stable. Meaningful. When fandom feels inherited rather than earned, when teams change players, owners, and cities while still demanding lifelong loyalty, some nervous systems hesitate. They quietly ask a question most people never articulate. What exactly am I being asked to attach to? If the answer doesn't feel real, the signal fades. Not from cynicism, but from clarity. These people don't reject belonging. They reserve it.
Their tribal instinct engages where connection feels reciprocal and enduring around ideas, craft, shared purpose, or creation. So when the switch doesn't flip, it isn't indifference.
It's discernment. These differences rarely appear out of nowhere. They form early. In some homes, excitement is safe. Raised voices mean joy. Crowds feel celebratory. In others, noise signals tension. Volume means unpredictability. High stimulation requires vigilance. In those environments, the nervous system doesn't relax into group intensity. It monitors it.
Some children grow up finding connection through conversation, creativity, or quiet presence, not spectacle.
Meaning forms inward, not outward. Over time, the body learns what regulates it. For some, that's collective excitement. For others, it's focus. Depth. One-on-one engagement. This isn't avoidance. It's adaptation.
The nervous system does exactly what it learned to do to stay stable. There's another layer that often gets overlooked.
Attention is finite. Being a true sports fan isn't passive.
It requires tracking players, histories, strategies, rivalries, maintaining a long mental archive. Some minds allocate that capacity elsewhere.
They invest deeply in systems, skills, ideas, or crafts. Their focus consolidates rather than scatters.
So when they appear disengaged from sports, it isn't because they lack passion.
It's because the passion slot is already full.
They're running long games, projects that don't reset every season.
The stadium isn't empty. It's hosting something else. Watching sports feels physical because the brain simulates what it sees. Mirror neurons fire when we observe action we identify with.
The brain partially experiences the movement, the effort, the outcome.
But identification is required.
Without that psychological bridge, this could be me, or this represents me, the emotional payoff weakens. For people who don't connect with sports, this system still works. It just attaches elsewhere.
To musicians. To builders. To thinkers. To creators. The thrill isn't missing. The target is different. Over time, repeated mismatch can turn into quiet shame. You soften your answers. You deflect. You say you didn't really catch it instead of it didn't move me.
And slowly, you start to feel out of sync, not loudly, but persistently. In cultures that treat shared enthusiasm as proof of belonging, neutrality can feel like failure.
But shame thrives on misinterpretation. This isn't emotional deficiency. It's alignment.
Your nervous system refuses to fake enthusiasm for connection.
And that's not a flaw. Sports provide absorption, a narrowing of attention that quiets the mind. For many people, it's restorative. But absorption isn't exclusive to games. Others find it in making. In problem solving. In writing, coding, building. One absorbs attention outward into outcome.
The other pulls it inward into process.
Both regulate. They just move energy differently.
When you step back, a simple truth emerges. People who don't obsess over sports aren't detached from life. They're invested elsewhere.
Their silence isn't emptiness. It's concentration. Attention shapes identity.
Where you place it determines what kind of person you become. Some place it in shared spectacle. Others place it in creation. Neither path is superior.
But it explains why the signal never landed and why it never needed to.
If this video put language to something you've always felt but couldn't explain, you're not alone. Share where your attention naturally goes. And if you want more conversations about the quiet patterns of the human mind, consider subscribing. We explore these spaces together.